These guys kidnapped the wrong girl, thinking she was just some weak, helpless prey, and treating her dad like he's just some mid-nobody. No one saw that coming. They woke up a walking nightmare. What looked like your average single dad hides some seriously OP power and a dark past. Whenever monsters and secret cults threaten his family, the ultimate hunter makes his comeback, slicing whole buildings right in half. With pure brute strength, he tears through dimensions. He's gonna wipe the floor with any freak in his way. Honestly, nobody challenges this guy and walks away in one piece. So drop a like and subscribe to the channel. That was the day the world broke apart, and as the ground shattered, people ran for their lives. A massive black pyramid erupted from the earth, covered in lightning and this dark energy warping reality. Deep down inside, an evil red eye woke up, surrounded by pulsing veins in the shadows. Right after, a massive wave of monsters flooded the surface, swallowing everything and everyone in a flash. Nightmare creatures of all shapes and sizes attacked the cities, spreading destruction everywhere. They were horrifying beasts, like giant werewolves and tentacle freaks that looked like they crawled out of the underworld. Not even gods or titans were spared, crying tears of agony as they got corrupted and wiped out. But in the middle of all that chaos and despair, humanity fought back with everything they had. Some warriors stood their ground, becoming known as monster hunters. And after a millennium of bloodshed, from 763 to 1852, the war raged on, until, finally, humanity claimed victory, standing over the ruins of their world. Then a new era of peace and rebuilding began, with bright, modern cities. The scene cuts to a busy city at night, focusing on a neon sign for a bar called Memphis. Inside, a guy is grabbing a woman named Rin, asking for a kiss, but she tells him to stop. The girl seems to give in, saying it's fine, she doesn't have a choice. Puckering up, the man happily says he's going in, and that's where it gets crazy. His face bursts open, and a horrifying monster pops out with its mouth wide open. The creature fully reveals itself, a freak with claws and a weird shell. Ryan desperately grabs the beast that's right on her face. A dark splash covers the area as she lets out one last scream of agony. The scene then completely shifts to a sunny day in a residential neighborhood, and someone calls out, saying, "Excuse me." An older lady with hair curlers opens the door looking spooked. It's our MC, a guy in a suit standing on the porch holding a bag. The lady opens the door super slowly. He just stands there looking pretty annoyed, flipping his vibe instantly. He introduces himself as Akai, the new neighbor, but the lady just peeks, making him sigh for being ignored. Then he gets to his own door, with the name Akai on the plate, and announces he's home. Inside, Mitsuru Akai has her hands on her hips and cheeks puffed out, complaining she just wanted a quiet life in the country. RMC explains that growing up in the sticks made him want to live in the big city, but the girl whines that the city is boring and crowded. He scolds her, telling her not to say that at school, or she's never gonna make friends with that attitude. Mitsuru pictures herself as this super popular girl, flexing that someone as cute as her would have zero issues making friends. Checking the time suddenly, she yells, they need to go or she'll be late for her first day. The two bolt down the street while our MC screams for people to clear the way. Dodging through traffic like crazy, he's yelling for everyone to move while apologizing at the same time. They sprint up to the gate, begging the guard to wait a sec since he was just about to close it. Once they finally reach Rikuhara High School, they shout an apology. Father and daughter bow frantically to a teacher, apologizing for being late, but the guy says it's all good. The MC then says goodbye to his kid, telling her to listen to her teacher. Waving back, the girl replies she already knows, but the second her dad turns his back, she mutters for him to stop apologizing so much, or they'll start calling him Mr. Sorry. The scene wraps up showing her classroom sign, Class 1-2. In the classroom, the teacher tells the group they've got a new transfer student. Then the new girl introduces herself with high energy, saying her name is Mitsuru Akai. She keeps going, explaining her hobby is cooking. She's a huge fan of the actor Takeshi Kanmochi and hopes to be friends with everyone. Except after the intro, an awkward silence takes over the room, leaving the students creeped out. Breaking the ice, the teacher asks everyone to welcome her, while the girl just stands there feeling awkward. Meanwhile, a blonde girl says hi. Mitsuru's shocked, thinking this is way different from what she imagined. The teacher then tells her to grab an empty desk so they can start class. Walking to her seat, the girl with glasses next to her gives a shy greeting. Right after, the classmate excitedly reveals she's also a massive fan of Takeshi Kanmochi. With her eyes sparkling with joy, Mitsuru makes friends with a girl named Shinkai. The new girl reflects that this kicked off her 5th attempt at starting over as the transfer student, cutting to the school's basketball court, showing that school life goes on. A bit later, Shinkai is chatting with Mitsuru, saying she's dead serious about something. She warns her friend that no matter what, do not go near the shed behind the school, because girl skirts flip up out of nowhere, even without wind. The shot then reveals the shed, looking super creepy with some weird shadows at the bottom. Floating near a dark stained staircase, a bunch of clear ghostly hands appear. Finishing the story, Shinkai mentions everyone believes a ghost is behind it, but Mitsuru isn't buying it at all, replying with a like, "That's even real." Shortly after, as other students walk by, she mutters that ghosts are a stupid idea. The blonde girl rolls up with her squad and orders the new girl to go buy her a drink. Looking out the window, the transfer student thinks there are always scumbags like this everywhere. Pissed off, the blonde asks who she thinks she's talking to. Another girl from the group steps up and yells at Mitsuru, asking who she thinks she is running her mouth like that. Jumping in front, Shinkai apologizes, saying Mitsuru just got here and doesn't know how things work. Her friend leans in to whisper, warning that Ito's family has major pull here, and she shouldn't fight back. Backing down, Mitsuru asks the bully what flavor drink she wants. Ito and her crew flash an evil smirk. Pretty satisfied, the new girl obeyed. The scene cuts to a school hallway. Mitsuru comes back carrying a bag full of drinks. Walking back, she thinks if she hadn't promised her dad to stay out of trouble, she'd never listen to a brat like her. Suddenly feeling something off, she stops dead in the middle of the hall. She catches a noise and looks back, spotting Ito screaming at Shinkai for defending the new girl. Mitsuru's friend is on the floor getting pushed around and begging for forgiveness. The transfer student is completely shocked seeing this. With pure fury on her face, she turns around and yells, asking what they think they're doing to Shinkai, keeping her foot on the fallen girl's head. Ito says Mitsuru got here right on time. The blonde then orders the new girl to take the juice and dump it on Shinkai's head to forget the whole thing. Pressuring Mitsuru to obey, the rest of the group asks if she has any clue what happens to people who defy them. The camera zooms in on Ito's finger pointing at Mitsuru's forehead, who just glares back with pure hate. And no one saw that coming. Filled with rage, Mitsuru bites her finger and screams she's never gonna listen to a single word this bully says, making the bully screech in pain. Mid-fight, Ito yells that the new girl bit her finger while another girl screams her name in a panic. Right after the shot cuts to the principal's office door. Inside, the principal slams the desk and shouts at our MC and Mitsuru, warning that one more mess means she's expelled. Putting a hand on his daughter's head, the MC apologizes, promising he's gonna discipline her right. Once outside, he asks the girl what actually started the fight. Eating some ice cream, Mitsuru explains her friend was getting bullied, but her dad scolds her, reminding her he asked to avoid trouble at all costs. She apologizes with this cute, guilty look, promising to try her best not to get kicked out, but he replies, she said the exact same thing last time. A while later, the view focuses on the school building. Down a dark hallway, Mitsuru's locker has her name on it and looks completely trashed. Opening the locker, she finds this black sludge dripping from one of her books. Her dirty, ripped clothes are just stuffed inside along with a pile of trash. Then Ito and her crew show up, ordering the transfer student to follow them. One of the squad members opens the door to that creepy shed behind the school. Waiting inside with an evil grin is Ito, while the other girls stare her down with glowing red eyes in the dark. The bully steps closer and threatens her, saying if she causes any more trouble, she'll be expelled. Smiling back, Mitsuru asks what exactly they're planning to do. Ito watches the new girl with pure hatred. Then, with her face twisted in rage, she screams at her group to wipe the floor with her. Stepping up, one of the girls goes for an attack, but Mitsuru dodges the hit like it's nothing. Then she just shoves the bully away with one hand. Ito warns that if she keeps fighting back, her friend is next on the list. Catching her off guard, another lackey lands a solid punch right to Mitsuru's face. With the new kid pinned down, one of the bullies comments that she finally shut up. The camera pans to Mitsuru's bruised and battered face. Flashing glowing red eyes, one of the squad members calls her a fool for protecting someone she barely knows. Ito then pulls out her phone to record, ordering them to pull off her uniform while swearing she's gonna make her regret being born. Not holding back, the two girls forcefully start tearing at Mitsuru's shirt. She hits record, taunting the girl by asking if she lives all alone with her dad. Mocking her even more, she says her mom probably ran off with another guy, making Mitsuru scream to keep her parents' names out of her mouth. With an evil grin, Ito calls her pathetic for being dumped by such a trash mom. Right after, she asks if the new kid wants her to reset her life, delivering a brutal kick. The shot flips to Mitsuru hanging upside down, badly beaten, with Ito's dark silhouette looming in the back. Suddenly, the scene dissolves into a shadowy puddle and thick black smoke. A dark crimson energy starts pouring off the school roof. Up in the night sky, that energy morphs into massive tentacles under a blood-red moon. Spotting something weird, one of the bullies screams in pure terror, and that's where it gets crazy. A bunch of ghostly blue hands burst right out of the shadows. Freaking out, Ito panics as the hands try to grab her crew, screaming about what they are and swearing she didn't do a thing. The other two lackeys just stare, stuck in pure fear. Merging together, those blue hands rip right through the floor. Then they dig their claws deep, pretty much tearing the ground wide open. Deep inside that gap, a pair of sinister red eyes starts glowing in the dark. And just like that, everything changed. A giant monstrous boss figure rises from the cracks, glaring at Ito while she's paralyzed with fear. Stuttering in fear, one of the lackeys calls it a monster. The shot cuts to the creature charging right at one of the girls. Bathed in this weird glowing light, she just bursts into tears. With a brutal bite, the massive boss crushes one of the bullies, making her scream before getting devoured. Outside, the camera shows the shed going dead silent under a red sky. And this is where it gets good. The monster blows the entire building wide open. Spotting the smoke from inside the school, a student yells about the explosion, telling someone to grab a teacher. Right through the rubble, Ito and the other girl get blasted away by the shockwave. The bully gets launched violently right into a tree, while her friend gets tossed straight through a window. Shattering the glass completely, she lands hard inside one of the classrooms. Back outside, a massive swarm of grotesque freaks starts crawling out of a dark puddle on the ground. Mitsuru makes a desperate run for it while the screeching monsters chase her down. Keeping up the escape, that massive boss who ate the bully is right behind the smaller creeps. That horned demon glares at her, mentioning it catches a pretty sweet scent. The giant creature just watches those lesser minions hunting the girl. Then, the bigger demon charges forward with a huge roar, trampling its own crew along the way. Mid-sprint, Mitsuru realizes that thing is getting way more dangerous by the second. Pushing through the fear, she keeps up her desperate escape down the school hallways. Suddenly, she turns a corner and bumps right into her friend, who panics and yells Mitsuru's name. Grabbing her hands, her friend asks if she's okay, mentioning she heard Ito's group called her out to talk. Completely freaking out, Mitsuru warns there's zero time to worry about that, glancing back down the hall. Confused, her friend turns around and asks what she's staring at. And no one saw that coming. She freezes in pure terror, spotting the freaks at the end of the hall, with one roaring right at her. Smashing right through the school wall, the giant demon bursts in as Mitsuru screams for her friend to run. Outside, a security guard watches in shock as the school wall blows to pieces. The two girls make a desperate run across the courtyard, screaming for the monster to stay back. The demon lands hard, smashing the concrete on impact. Pulling her friend by the hand, Mitsuru screams, having no clue what's going on. Right then, a guy shows up and scolds them, saying there's no running in the halls. But right behind him is a massive horde of monsters. Two students outside spot her carrying her friend, who's yelling to be put down. Still running, Mitsuru carries her friend in her arms as the horde closes in from behind. Also outside, the demon grabs someone, complaining they're in its way, and just takes them out completely with its bare hands. Then, the monstrous creature punches the ground hard to gain some serious momentum. Its rapid charge kicks up debris everywhere, and in a flash, it's right on Mitsuru's tail. Hugging her friend in the chaos, the spooked girl asks if it's an earthquake. But still holding her, she yells that it doesn't matter right now. Right after, a huge claw reaches for them and the monster demands more food. Mitsuru manages to dodge the claws but realizes something. With a look of pure dread and determination, she figures out she's the only one the monster is hunting. So, she shoves her friend away and screams for her to run as fast as she can. Tossed away so suddenly, Shinkai screams in shock. But the creature doesn't waste time and grabs Mitsuru hard, knocking the wind right out of her, then going right in for the finish. But the demon notices something off. It's taking damage. And suddenly, the creature's body starts falling apart completely. The demon looks totally confused, having zero clue what's happening to it. And that's where it gets crazy. The shot reveals the entire school building got sliced in half horizontally, wiping out several demons along the way. Right down below, our MC shows up holding his daughter and a katana. Dropping back into place, the school building sends a massive shockwave across the whole area. The monster glares at the MC's weapon, recognizing that exact blade. As he walks away carrying the girl, the creature stutters, trying to say that weapon looks familiar. Trying to scream out asking who he is, it gets completely ignored by the MC. With his back turned, he checks out the destruction left behind with his kid in his arms. And in a split second, he vanishes into thin air, slowly returning to normal. The sky above the school clears up as the sun rises. Peace finally comes back to the campus after all that chaos. Right after that, a police cruiser rolls up to the scene. Skipping ahead a bit, Mitsuru wakes up in her bed, rubbing her eyes. Dazed and confused, she sits up wondering how she even made it back home. Suddenly, our MC walks into the room wearing an apron, yelling how relieved he is she finally woke up. Panicking, he mentions that when he heard his daughter passed out at school, his heart almost stopped. Still in bed, Mitsuru tells her dad to stop crying, saying he looks pathetic like that. But our MC turns around and apologizes, wiping away his tears. He explains he was just super worried about her. The girl just stays quiet for a second. Then she says she's fine but saw something weird, only for her dad to cut her off, warning her never to use her powers in front of classmates. Continuing his rant, he says it's gonna be tough for her to stay at that school if things keep up like this. Furious, she stands up and yells that the other kids started the fight, calling her a kid abandoned by her own mom. With tears in her eyes, Mitsuru confronts him, asking why she doesn't have a mother. Caught completely off guard by that question, our MC tries to pull her in for a hug. She just backs away from him. Looking down at the floor, the MC apologizes and admits this is all his fault. Meanwhile, right outside, this bizarre hand grabs onto the window. Scaling the wall, this weird half-mummified monster with a bunch of eyes spies on the two inside the room. The creature growls softly while watching the whole scene go down. Sensing something off, our MC pauses, but then someone knocks on the front door. That knocking sound breaks the heavy tension inside the room. Getting up, Mitsuru walks over, wondering who could be showing up right now. She peeks through the peephole to check who's standing outside. Through the lens, she spots two sketchy guys in suits waiting in the hall. Caught completely off guard, the girl is surprised by the sudden visit. Stepping up out of nowhere, our MC pulls his kid behind him and tells her to back away from the door. Outside, the two guys knock again, calling themselves cops and asking if anyone's home. Glancing at her dad, Mitsuru looks super confused about what's going on. The shot quickly cuts right back to the exterior of the building. In the living room a bit later, the MC serves tea to the guests who apologize for dropping in. Cutting straight to the chase, the blonde guy explains they're investigating the school explosion and asks the girl to share what she saw. With her dad's hand on her shoulder, she says she doesn't really know, just that she heard a loud bang and ran away in fear. Leaning in close, the cop pushes harder, asking if she spotted anything else since she was right at the scene. He gets all up in her space, trying to pressure her into talking. Meanwhile, the other suited guy just watches the whole chat in silence, gripping his briefcase. Spooked, the girl shakes her head and tells him no. Pushing again, the blonde dude tells her to think carefully, claiming that no matter how wild it sounds, any spooky detail helps. Our MC steps in, cutting him off and angrily demanding him to drop it. Making it clear, he says his kid already told them she knows nothing, plus she needs to rest. With a smirk, the cop replies they need as much intel as possible to catch the culprit. But the MC glares back, questioning what makes him so sure someone actually caused this whole thing. Jumping in, the other suited guy apologizes and lets them know they're leaving now. The two men stand up to head out, thanking them for cooperating. Keeping a serious, suspicious look, our MC watches them walk out. And that's where it gets crazy. The silent guy's briefcase starts shaking and throwing off this weird aura. Feeling that magic power, the MC thinks to himself there's zero chance these dudes are actual cops. Casually, the MC asks the guy in the suit what happened to his heavily bandaged hand. Smiling, he even offers to carry the briefcase for him. The blonde dude steps in real quick, explaining it's just a minor burn and nothing to worry about. Shortly after, the two men walk off, while our MC watches them from the hallway. Left alone, he wonders if they managed to sense Mitsuru's power. Once outside, the blonde guy turns to his partner and asks, well, holding the briefcase. The guy confirms that's the exact magic power that person was searching for. Back inside the apartment, Mitsuru asks her dad what's wrong, seeing him standing deep in thought by the window. Turning around, he advises his kid to keep a low profile at school from now on, and she nods along. Suddenly, this weird growl comes right out of the bedroom window. Pushing the glass open, that multi-eyed creature starts crawling inside. The monster hops onto the girl's bed, which is completely empty right now. Then, it just starts licking the blanket, drooling all over the place. The creature turns its head, coming face to face with the girl standing at the door, and starts growling at her. Panning to the bedroom window from the outside, the view shows off a bright orange late afternoon sky. The scene cuts over to Rikuhara High School. Out front, our MC says goodbye to his daughter and tells her to keep a low profile, while Mitsuru waves back. Suddenly, someone comes sprinting right at her. Shinkai gives a super hyped greeting, calling out her name, but her friend just keeps looking back, asking who that handsome dude is. Feeling super awkward, Mitsuru wonders what her classmate is even talking about. The girl with glasses pushes the subject, begging her to spill the beans. Losing patience, Mitsuru replies it's her dad, leaving her friend shocked, saying she thought he was an older brother or a college guy. She explains he works out a ton, which is why he looks so young. Sharing a nervous laugh, the camera focuses back on the school building. Then the view shifts to a fancy coffee shop. Our MC is busy in there whipping up a drink. Wearing a highly focused look, he carefully draws some latte art on the phone. Over at a table, two customers in the shop just keep staring at him. One of them even says out loud how good-looking he is. Lost in thought at the counter, he realizes his kid naturally draws attention and wonders if he should transfer her schools again. Right then, a blonde woman calls out his name, Akai. Walking up, the lady who seems to be the boss approaches, and he asks what brings her here so suddenly. She vents about a fight with her husband, saying she's had enough, but he calms her down by mentioning anger causes wrinkles and offers to make her a coffee, asking if it's tough for him too. Being a single dad, she leaves our MC quiet for a second. With a warm smile, he slides the coffee over to her. Except, right as he hands it over, the woman touches his hand. Caught off guard, our MC is pretty surprised by her move. Giving him this seductive look, she invites him to dinner and even offers to let him off work early. Politely turning her down, he gets called boring by her, just like always. The MC apologizes, explaining he really needs to go pick up his kid. Calling him out, the blonde reminds him it's his daughter's club activity day and asks if that's just an excuse to avoid dinner. Nervous, he stutters and denies the whole thing, begging to leave early for his kid's club anyway. The boss looks super bored but agrees, warning him it's a one-time thing. Our MC thanks her a bunch and bolts right out of the coffee shop. Sprinting down the sidewalk, he dodges through the crowd like crazy. Then he ducks into a narrow alleyway between the buildings. Locking in a serious look, he runs at top speed. He bounces from wall to wall, scaling his way up the alley. Landing on a rooftop, he gets ready to sprint. He moves across the roof with some OOP speed. Then he launches into a massive jump, flying right over the street, sticking a perfect landing on the very next building. With that determined stare, he continues his wild rush through the city. Back at school, the sky is already turning orange as evening sets in. While the other students head home, Mitsuru walks alone, looking super down. Worrying inside, she realizes her dad is running late. The girl starts wondering if he got into an accident when a black car pulls up right in front of her. Opening the door, that same blonde dude from earlier steps out. He walks closer and calls out her name. Mentioning they've crossed paths again, the two guys in suits greet her. She recognizes them as the detectives and asks if they still need something. Flashing a creepy smile, the blonde guy says they need her to swing by the station for a bit, but Mitsuru turns them down, saying she's waiting for her dad. This is where it gets good. The guy reveals her dad got into some trouble and is currently at the station. Hearing that news, the girl is left completely shocked. Desperate, she screams, asking if he's okay, and begs them to take her there fast. Smirking, the blonde dude just says, "Good girl." Then he invites her to hop into the car. Staring back with suspicion, she really doesn't have much of a choice. Sitting in the driver's seat, his partner tells her not to worry. Then, they shut the car door right with her inside. Except, the second the ride takes off, our MC pops up in the background, missing that she was even in there. The car pulls further away, while he just keeps jogging down the street, having zero clue what just went down. Reaching the campus, the MC looks around confused, wondering where Mitsuru is. He just stands right out front, watching the students, but failing to spot her anywhere. Finding the whole thing pretty weird, he starts thinking maybe her club hasn't finished yet. Suddenly, tires screech on the pavement, and a vehicle speeds off super fast. Tearing down an avenue, the car blasts past a bunch of apartment buildings. Inside the ride, Mitsuru stares out the window, super confused and having no idea what's going on. From the back seat, she asks the fake detective if they're at the station yet, since they've been driving for a while. Realizing something is way off, the girl panics and screams at the driver to pull over right now. That long-haired guy at the wheel just gives her a side-eye with this sinister look. Mitsuru confronts the other dude, yelling to know where her dad is, but the guy just readies a bottle and a cloth. Grabbing her hard, the guy shoves the silk rag right in her face. The two kidnappers exchange glances while the girl struggles to fight back. Flashing a smirk, the driver reveals they used a chemical to put her to sleep. With her passed out on the seat, the partner mentions that was a pretty messy way to handle things. But out of nowhere, our MC shows up sprinting at crack speeds right behind the car. Checking the rearview mirror, the driver smirks and jokes they should have just knocked her out the old-fashioned way, and no one saw that coming. The MC leaps up and lands hard on the hood, smashing the windshield to pieces. Stuck in total shock, both guys inside freak out over his sudden appearance. His eyes glowing with pure rage. The MC screams furiously, demanding they hand his kid back. Terrified, the partner yells at the driver to grab the girl and bounce as fast as possible. Slamming the brakes hard, the car skids violently, launching our MC away while glass shards fly everywhere. Landing hard on the asphalt, he slides at top speed and uses his bare hands to brake. Our MC gets up fast, spotting the two guys pulling Mitsuru out of the wrecked ride. Telling his partner to go ahead, the long-haired kidnapper stays back while the other tosses the girl over his shoulder. Right then, seeing that whole mess, the dad screams his kid's name in pure panic. Without wasting a second, he dashes straight at them with cracked speed. He tries to just leap right over the long-haired dude, except the guy manages to grab the MC's leg midair, completely stopping him from chasing the other man holding his daughter. The dude tries to tell him to hold up, but our MC is already locked in. Yelling that he's not letting him through, the guy throws the dad right into the car. Annoyed about his brand new ride, he demands the MC pay for the damage if he wants to pass. Our MC clicks his tongue, clearly having zero patience for this nonsense. Moving fast, he charges straight at the guy, and the two just start trading rapid-fire blows. Landing a heavy hit, the MC pushes forward, but the dude manages to block it. Even so, the sheer force knocks the man backward. Groaning in pain, the guy tries to shake it off. Back on his feet, he glares at the dad and admits the guy is pretty badass. Suddenly, our MC stops and goes on high alert, noticing something off. The kidnapper is standing there pointing a gun right at him, ordering him to freeze. Staring him down seriously, the MC figures out there's zero chance these guys are actual cops. He looks him dead in the eye, demanding to know who they really are. Flashing a sinister smile, the kidnapper mentions he thought it was a dead end, but it turned into a massive catch, and he is gonna be thrilled. Our MC looks super confused, wondering who this he guy even is. Without hesitating, he rushes the man, screaming to know where they're taking Mitsuru. The long-haired dude doesn't think twice and just starts blasting his weapon over and over, but using some OP speed, our MC dodges every single bullet whizzing right past him. Completely shell-shocked, the shooter has no clue how he managed to evade that. Jumping up, the dad lands a flying kick with full force right on the enemy's arm. That hit is so clean it knocks the weapon straight out of the guy's hand, and giving him zero time to react, he lands another perfect kick while blowing past him. Way ahead, the partner carrying Mitsuru hears the brawl and looks back, wondering what's going down. Pausing for a second, the guy puts on this determined look. The long-haired kidnapper stumbles backward, groaning in pain, clenching his jaw and his fists. He is clearly furious about the whole thing. With no time to rest, our MC readies another heavy strike, but the guy actually manages to block the attack. Caught off guard, the dude can barely hold back the sheer force of the dad's punch as he keeps pressing. Finding a tiny opening, he throws a massive punch right into our MC's gut. Though he feels an impact, the MC uses the chance to tightly grab the man's arm. Keeping a rock-solid grip, he doesn't let go of his wrist, trying to lock him down. Right Esther's at that, he drives a brutal knee straight into the enemy's stomach. Spitting on the ground, the man feels the heavy damage from that body shot. In a flash, the dad yanks the guy's arm close, ready to finish him off. Suddenly, the partner pulls up with his briefcase and calls the kidnapper by his name, Akai. And that's where it gets crazy. He opens the case, releasing this bizarre multi-eyed creature, and announces he's had enough. Our MC is completely stunned, wondering what on earth that freakish thing is. Casually, the suited guy plucks one of the creature's eyes right out with his fingers. He then just chucks that eyeball straight at the two guys brawling. Flying through the air at high speed, the weird projectile looks like a mini-bomb. Suddenly, the thing detonates right between them, releasing a thick cloud of smoke. Taken completely by surprise, the dad covers his face, questioning what all this gas is. Feeling dizzy, he realizes his vision is blurring while Akai and the briefcase guy watch from the mist. Overcome by the fumes, our MC grumbles in annoyance before completely passing out. Going completely limp, he collapses into the heavy fog covering the whole area. With a sudden jolt, he wakes up, looking around wide-eyed and completely lost. Then he realizes he's in some weird room surrounded by three guys in suits, with an older one smoking a cigarette. The gray-haired man turns around and asks if Mr. Akai is finally awake. Super confused, our MC looks down and spots that he's handcuffed right to the bed frame. Asking what the heck is going on and why he's locked up, the officer just flat-out confirms he is indeed detained. The officer flashes his badge, explaining the school cameras showed Fuma as the only one entering the campus before the explosion. Plus, he was carrying a weapon. In a panic, our MC denies everything, saying he didn't do anything and asking why he'd ever attack his own kid's school. He points and yells that the most important thing is his daughter got snatched by a fake cop, so they need to save her fast. Looking completely lost, the older officer doesn't understand a single thing about that story. Meanwhile, the other two agents just watch the scene unfold, looking pretty unbothered. And no one saw that coming. The group leader explains Fuma's daughter is safe at home with his wife, and they grabbed him after a call about a guy passed out in an alley. Our MC is just stunned, unable to process the crazy intel he just heard. Grabbing his head again, he screams that he doesn't even have a wife, demanding to know what is actually happening. Right then he looks at the officers and starts wondering if these guys are also being played. One of the rookie agents tells him to calm down and get some rest first, warning him they'll take him to the station once he chills out. The leader heads out of the room with his crew. The door shuts tight, leaving our MC all alone, cuffed to the bed in dead silence. Left by himself, he uses his raw strength to snap the handcuff with his free hand. Fully locked in, he promises himself he has to go save Mitsuru right now. Outside in the hallway, one of the cops takes a quick glance back toward his room. Looking through the little door window, the MC watches the 3 agents chatting outside. Back inside the room, he searches for a way out. And no one saw that coming. Without thinking twice, he leaps right out the window of the super tall hospital. Landing on the asphalt below, his impact literally cracks the ground. Right after, our MC sprints down the empty street at top speed. Mid-run, he spots a sign pointing to an exit, but the perspective flips, revealing he's actually running through a giant hedge maze. Following the sign, he starts panting heavily as the path seems to go on forever. Tired and stumbling, he just keeps wandering, lost in the maze. Practically collapsing from exhaustion, he stares at the exit sign that never seems to get any closer. Breathing hard, he glares at the sign, realizing something is completely off. Suddenly, this weird, fiery energy starts pouring out of his body. His eyes go wide with pure rage and determination. Standing up furious, he yells that it looks like he got trapped in some alternate dimension. Desperate, our boy looks up and screams his daughter Mitsuru's name at the top of his lungs. Meanwhile, somewhere else, Akai and the briefcase guy walk toward an abandoned factory. The man carries the kidnapped girl on his back, while Akai follows close behind. They walk into the massive empty factory with the little girl still passed out. Gently, the man sets Michiru down on the floor, while Akai watches the whole thing quietly. Bowing down, he reports to an unseen presence, saying they brought the tribute exactly as ordered. Right then, a freakish creature covered in a red cloak full of eyes appears, and the suited guy asks it to accept the offering. Flashing an evil grin, Akai adds the girl is a top-tier specimen you don't see every day. From inside the cloak, a dark voice asks what happened to make them look so filthy. The creature reveals a grotesque face, questioning if the two ran into any kind of trouble. Akai and his partner get super tense, not knowing exactly how to answer. The guy explains they had a tiny delay but swears the problem is already taken care of. With a mocking tone, Akai adds that the fool who tried stealing their prey got locked up somewhere he'll never escape. The scene then cuts back to the alternate dimension where our boy is trapped. Suddenly, he jumps right back through the window into the hospital room he just left. Checking his surroundings, he realizes his only way out of this space is finding a dimensional rift. With that plan in mind, he locks his eyes on the closed room door. Gathering all his strength, our MC lets out this massive, guttural scream. Hearing the roar from outside, the cops run back in, desperately asking what's going down. Bussing into the room, they find it completely empty, wondering where the heck he went. But the dad was hiding right above the door, and while the leader wonders where he vanished to, Fuma preps his attack. Face set with pure determination, he locks onto his target below. In one smooth move, he drops down with a 2-footed flying kick straight to the older officer's head. The impact is so heavy the guy gets knocked out cold instantly, sending his glasses flying. Shocked by the ambush, the other 2 agents freeze up while our boy lands perfectly on his feet. Wasting 0 time, he turns and drives a straight punch right into one cop's jaw, then instantly knocks the last agent out cold with a brutal kick to the face. In just seconds, all 3 guys in suits are out cold on the floor. Dragging the leader's body into the room, our MC apologizes, asking for forgiveness for what he did. Leaving the 3 knocked out men propped against the wall, he thinks he really needs to find a way out of here fast. He takes off running down the sterile white hospital hallway hunting for an exit. Mid-sprint, he spots a small sign pointing to the emergency exit. Except, right as he gets close, he stops dead in his tracks, feeling like something's wrong. A creepy voice echoes through the hall, calling him, "Dear patient." Standing there is a heavily scarred doctor, warning that he doesn't let people just do whatever they want in his hospital. Gritting his teeth, our MC realizes he's been spotted. Staring down the weird guy, he processes the exact words he just said, "My hospital." An idea sparks in his head, thinking if he can just take this dude down, maybe he can finally break out of here, so he charges full speed at the doctor. Letting out a sinister laugh, the doctor reaches out his hand. Then the hospital floor starts warping, throwing our MC completely off balance. Confused, he wonders what in the world is happening right now. Suddenly, the floor turns blood red like a massive puddle, and this gooey substance starts forming. Out of that sludge, a bunch of hands reach up and grab our MC. Feeling completely cornered, he curses, saying he can't even use magic in this place. Still swearing, he starts getting dragged down into the floor. Even fighting back with everything, it's no use, those things manage to pull him under. The scene shifts, and he wakes up in a totally different spot. This time he's strapped to an operating table with 2 doctors holding him down. Screaming for them to let him go, our MC demands to know what they're gonna do to him. That weird doctor walks up laughing and completely mocking him. He tells the dad he's just gonna chop him up into tiny little pieces. Flashing a look of pure rage, the MC asks, "Excuse me, buddy?" The doctor tells him not to sweat it, promising to do it slowly so it won't hurt too much. Scalpel in hand, he announces he's starting with the eyes. He adds that it's totally fine. There aren't many nerves there, so it won't be that painful. Thinking he's pushed to the limit with 0 options, our MC screams, "Come out!" High above the buildings, a bright light sparks in the sky, and something comes rocketing down at crazy speed. The object smashes right into the building, blowing a massive hole in the wall. Inside, the doctors spin around spooked, asking what that was. Strapped to the table, our MC yells, "They're the ones about to get chopped to pieces." And this is where it gets good. The door blows open and a sword flies right into the room. Floating midair, the weapon slowly moves forward. The head surgeon is stunned, asking if that thing is really a sword. Panicking, he screams at the others to do something fast, but the sword moves on its own, slicing one of the doctors with a clean hit. Then, the blade shoots forward at top speed, slicing right through both assistants at the exact same time. After taking down the 2 guys, the sword loops around the room and hovers right over our MC still on the table. The scabbard detaches from the blade midair, spinning like crazy, and then the blade comes down like razors, slashing every single strap holding our boy down. Finally free, the sword flies straight into his hand. Reaching out, he grips the weapon's hilt tightly. Sitting up on the table, now fully armed, he glares at the last doctor standing. Backing away slowly, the surgeon's eyes go wide with pure dread seeing what just went down. The shot cuts to a car speeding down a highway. Drifting hard, the vehicle takes a sharp turn, and then rockets back up to top speed. Inside the ride, Akai laughs out loud, hyping up how they made an absolute fortune again. Taking a drag of his smoke, he mutters that guy is still annoying as always though. From the back seat, the suited guy gives a slight smirk while tapping his briefcase. But suddenly, he senses something way off. Looking down, he realizes the briefcase on his lap is violently vibrating. Back at the hospital, our MC raises his sword with both hands ready to strike. He stares down the surgeon with pure rage, locking in for the final blow. And with one powerful swing, he slices the surgeon into pieces. Right after, the guy's briefcase starts cracking and breaking apart on its own. Inside the core, the kidnappers are completely shocked by what's happening in the back, both yelling, "What?" And no one saw that coming. Our MC pops up and drives his sword straight into the briefcase guy's gut. Spitting blood, he screams in pain from the fatal hit. Panicking, Akai slams on the brakes and the car tires screech down the road. Our boy pins him from behind and demands to know where his daughter is. Grabbing him by the hair, he holds the blade right to his neck and screams for an answer immediately. The scene shifts to an abandoned warehouse in some industrial zone. Over there, a mysterious figure wrapped in a cloak of eyes is on the phone, just saying yes. A frightened woman in a swimsuit watches him while he stays on the line, letting them know the goods are ready. Getting annoyed by something on the call, the cloaked creature asks, "What?" Furious, he kicks the lady away and yells at the phone, asking if the scumbag is really trying to haggle the price. Right after that, the cell phone gets tossed and smashes on the floor. The creature then grabs the woman by the hair while she screams in terror. Crying, she begs for forgiveness, but the hooded freak sarcastically asks if an apology means she did something wrong. A scream of agony echoes through the place, and a bunch of armed goons look up laughing. Standing right in front of them, our MC shows up holding his glowing sword. Caught off guard, the thugs ask what he's doing there and who the heck he even is. Armed with swords, bats, and pickaxes, the goons get ready to jump our boy. Pointing his sword at the mysterious figure, he asks if that's the boss running things. The cloaked creature also asks who he is, but cuts himself off, saying it doesn't matter. Screaming at his minions, he orders them to stop standing around and get rid of him fast. With the order given, the whole squad of armed men charges full speed at our MC. He doesn't even move to draw his weapon, just holding the sword pointed at the ground. Flashing a determined look, he stares down the enemies and mentions that against their kind, he doesn't even need the blade, delivering a massive kick right to a goon's face. While the guy drops to his knees with a broken neck, another dude tries a sneak attack with a katana, but our boy is already turning his way. Giving him zero time to react, he lands a cracked kick square in the enemy's face. Then, two guys with baseball bats try to crush him with an overhead swing, but our boy easily dodges it and buries his fist straight into both of their stomachs at the exact same time. The hit is so heavy it completely folds the men in pain. Reacting in shock, the cloaked creature screams, "What?" having no clue how our MC wiped the floor with his goons so fast. Without missing a beat, he jumps into the air with his sword drawn, rushing straight at the cloaked freak. Sticking the landing, he stands right in front of the creature. With a focused stare, our boy gets ready to strike, and then he lands an OP punch right in the monster's gut. Dropping to its knees, the target spits blood on the floor while the MC glares down with a clenched fist. Panicking, the cloaked freak tries to beg him to calm down. Furious, he demands to know where his daughter is and why they snatched her. With the sword close to its neck, the enemy stutters that it was just following orders. The creature screams in pain while our boy asks exactly whose orders they were. Lying on the floor, holding one of its own eyes, the monster reveals the name Lord Hyakume. The scene cuts to an abandoned building late in the afternoon. Inside, our MC is sitting at a desk, typing away on a laptop. Flashing back, the cloaked freak warns that Lord Hyakume came from the underworld and someone like our boy stands zero chance. Staring at the laptop screen, he realizes he needs a password to access the dark web. Getting up, he looks around, muttering that some shady business definitely goes down here. Over in a corner of the room, his daughter Mitsuru is fast asleep, leaning against the wall. Walking up to her, he gently touches her face and says it's time to head home. Outside, night has fallen with the full moon lighting up the dark sky. Right as that, someone shows up walking toward the spot. A guy in a suit walks up to the defeated creature's body on the floor. Bending down, he places a finger near its nose to check for any breathing. Standing over the body, the dude gets on his phone, reporting the bad news that his squad got completely wiped out. On the other end of the line, a monstrous entity with multiple eyes screams, asking if there are any survivors. The suited man mentions one woman is left and asks what to do with her, taking an order and replying, "Understood." Huddled in the corner, the blonde woman cries in pure terror over the whole mess. Then the guy pulls out a butterfly knife, flipping the blade with some serious skill. Stepping closer, he presses the weapon to her face and demands to know who did this. Terrified, she stutters that it was a young guy with a weird blade and overwhelming strength. Hearing that, the suited dude flashes a sinister smile and lets out a little chuckle, begging to be spared. The blonde woman promises to spill everything she knows, but a scream of agony just echoes through the abandoned building. The scene shifts to the front door of an apartment, showing the Akai family nameplate. Inside the room, Mitsuru is sleeping peacefully in her bed, and suddenly she opens her eyes. Sitting up completely confused, she wonders why she's back in her own room. Scratching her head, she tries to remember, thinking the last place she was supposed to be was in a cop car. Right then, a nice smell catches her attention, so she hops out of bed. Our MC pops up at the door with a plate of food, saying she must be hungry, and Mitsu smiles, mentioning how good it smells. Setting the food on the table, he tells her he made her favorite croquettes, making the girl cheer with a big yay. With her cheeks fully stuffed, Mitsuru eats the croquette, looking super happy about the meal. Telling her it's hot, our boy reminds her to eat slowly. Then he scolds her a bit, saying she needs to eat her veggies too. But the kid argues she won't grow if she doesn't eat meat. Suddenly remembering, she mentions running into those tall cops earlier who said her dad was in trouble, which is why she got in a car. Cutting the topic short, our boy reassures her everything's fine, but scolds her for going with strangers, asking what could have happened to her. Pouting with a grumpy face, she defends herself, saying she only did it because she was worried about him. Hearing her excuse, our MC gives a soft smile, fully getting why his kid was so anxious. So he tells her to keep eating while he whips up some more, and Mitsu excitedly agrees. Right after, he heads back to the kitchen and starts frying more food in a hot pan of oil. While cooking, he makes a phone call, putting on a serious look and saying, "Hello, it's me." On the other end of the line, a guy sitting in a room full of monitors answers with tons of energy, calling Akai's name. Chomping on a sandwich, the dude asks what's up with the sudden call after so long. Getting straight to the point, our MC says he needs him to investigate something, and sets up a meetup at a cafe for the next day. This scene cuts to the outside of a coffee shop the following morning. Inside, he reads an article on a bulletin board about bodies found at a factory, blaming it on a gang clash. A detail in the report mentions an unidentified woman's body was also found in terrible shape. Thinking back, he remembers telling the woman to run, and since the duo wasn't mentioned, someone is clearly trying to cover the whole thing up. Suddenly, a hand slams on the counter, and a voice asks why he's spacing out, snapping our boy out of his thoughts. It's his friend from the phone, now rocking this wild, flashy outfit, showing up super hyped and ordering a coffee. Spotting this weirdly dressed person, the MC actually chokes, completely shocked by the sight. Staring at the bizarre look, he stutters and asks who the heck this guy even is. His friend, DeRozo, just laughs and asks if a little disguise made him that unrecognizable. And that's where it gets crazy. Our MC yells his name out loud in pure shock, trying to pull himself together. Our boy admits the outfit kinda works, but DeRozo cuts the chatter and tells him to get straight straight to business. The shot shows a hot cup of coffee resting on the table. Explaining the situation, the MC says the site he found yesterday needs a password and asks if DeRozo can hack it. Flashing a super confident look, DeRozo just lets out a quick He then pulls out a red flash drive and plugs it right into the side of the laptop. With a determined smile, he tells the MC to leave it to him and starts typing. His fingers just fly across the keyboard at crack speed. In seconds, he flips the screen and says it was a piece of cake, leaving our boy completely shocked. Checking the site, they find out it's an illegal black market where all sorts of things are sold, like women, kids, and weapons. Our boy then spots something that catches his eye and lets out a little The screen shows a listing for kids with high magic aptitude priced at a massive $1 billion. DeRozo points out the price is wild, and the ad has its own dedicated page, making it way more complex, while our MC just listens, deep in thought. That's when it clicks. Why Mitsuru is being targeted. He thought the underworld guys found them, but the real reason is way different. Sipping his coffee, DeRozo asks if he needs anything else, reminding our boy of one last favor. With a smirk, he asks DeRozo to find them a new place as safe as possible, making the hacker instantly choke on his drink. Annoyed, DeRozo asks how many times they've done this, complaining he hasn't even paid his old debt. But our MC begs, swearing he's working on paying it off. He just keeps pleading, reminding him they go way back and begging for a little more time. Giving in, DeRozo agrees to help, but only if the MC lays low until he locks down a new spot. The hacker warns him that if the Assassin Guild finds him, he's finished, but our boy just smiles and says he knows. Locking in a serious look, he thinks to himself he needs to wipe out all the scumbags hunting Mitsuru. Right after, the view shifts back to the front of Rikuhara High School. Inside the classroom, Mitsuru is chilling at her desk looking completely bored out of her mind. Suddenly, heavy footsteps echo from the hallway outside. The door slides open and a voice greets the room saying, "Nice to meet everyone." Stepping up to the front, a guy in a purple suit introduces himself as Fuji Nohara, their brand new homeroom teacher. With a warm smile, Nohara mentions he's super excited to work with the class, knowing they're still mourning their old teacher. He promises that no matter what happens from now on, he'll protect everyone, making the girls in the room completely swoon. Even Mitsuru is blown away, blushing and thinking about how cool this new teacher is. Keeping the speech going, Nohara says he'd like to praise Miss Akai for her bravery during the recent incident. Then he calls her up to the front, leaving Mitsuru completely surprised and confused. While she gets up, the classmates start whispering, recalling rumors that she saved a girl named Shinkai. Standing right next to the teacher, Mitsuru awkwardly replies she didn't do anything special and just acted on instinct. But the second she mentions moving without thinking, Mr. Fuji flashes this extremely sinister and creepy smile. Catching that weird look, she gets super confused and just lets out a "ha." Instantly snapping back to normal, Nohara smiles, claps his hands, and tells everyone to follow her example. The girl just stands there frozen, looking away and completely lost on what just happened. Fast forward a bit, the view cuts to her apartment building right at dusk. Mitsuru throws the front door wide open, excitedly yelling that she's home. Taking off her shoes, she mentions the new teacher actually praised her today at school. Except, walking into the living room, she notices nobody's around and lets out a confused "huh." She then spots something sitting on the dining table and walks over to check it out. Writing the note, she sees her dad had to handle some business, will be back late, and left her dinner ready. Mitsuru looks at the massive meal our MC whipped up, fully stocked with rice, fish, and croquettes. Drooling over the food, she gives a happy little smile and gets ready to dig in. The scene cuts to the neon lights of a pachinko parlor right in the dead of night. Inside, a bunch of sketchy-looking dudes are clearly running security for the place. One of them patrols the floor, keeping a close eye on the players glued to the machines. The gamblers look absolutely unhinged, completely brainwashed and locked into the game. From behind, these creepy red energy hands reach out from the machines, keeping everyone trapped while the guard just watches. The camera then pans over to a door labeled Control Room. In that room, some bizarre freak with razor-sharp teeth and a straw hat is pulling off some kind of dark ritual. The creature stares at this disgusting wall made of pure flesh and faces, which is basically the power source keeping everyone hooked. Outside the parlor, a guy is smoking a cigarette when he suddenly spots something sketchy in the reflection. And this is where it gets good. Our MC crashes right through the glass, entering the place with a flying kick straight into a guard, sending the dude flying across the room. He sticks the landing dead center, rocking his yellow apron over his clothes with a dead serious look, ready to brawl. The thugs glare at our boy, screaming who the heck he is and saying he's got massive guts starting a riot here. Completely ignoring them, he just slips around, thinking back to his first read on this place. He noticed earlier how the pachinko machines were totally rusted and falling to pieces. Connecting the dots, he figured out this wasn't some normal parlor, meaning DeRozo's intel was spot on from the start. Pissed off by the silence, the goons scream at him to answer the question already. Losing their patience, they draw their weapons and aim straight at our boy. Right in the middle of all that tension, our MC stares them down with extreme focus. The thugs keep their guns locked on him, ready to pull the trigger. Unbothered by the threat, he flat out demands they take him to a guy named Hayakum. One of the pumps presses a pistol right to his forehead, mocking him and saying nobody can't just casually meet Lord Hayakum, while telling him to apologize and screw off. The thug gets caught off guard when our boy grips his hand, making him scream in confusion, crushing it with raw strength. The MC snaps the guy's gun to pieces, making the punk scream for everyone to blast him. Instantly, the whole squad unloads a massive storm of bullets right at him. Dozens of rounds fly his way, but he just stays completely chill. Moving fast, the MC draws his blade right out of the scabbard, and just like that, everything changed. He turns into a total blur, deflecting every single bullet with cracked speed. Parrying every round with surgical precision, he doesn't let a single shot touch him. The shooters just keep firing, completely shell-shocked by how OP his skills are. Suddenly, a heavy voice yells enough and orders everyone to drop their guns. Our boy pauses for a sec and looks right where that command came from. At the top of the stairs, a guy in a suit tells him to take a seat so they can chat. The dude introduces himself as the manager, saying his name is Shuichi. Moving forward, the shot cuts to a door labeled Administrative Office. Inside, Shuichi pours a cup of tea and apologizes for his goons acting so rude. Our boy just stays quiet, dead glaring at the manager. Spotting his weapon, Shuichi cuts to the chase and asks if he's a monster hunter. Our boy thinks it over, figuring this guy definitely isn't Hayakum, but he's 100% tied to the guild. Suddenly, he gets a terrifying flash of that monster from before standing right next to Shuichi, completely spooking him. In that vision, the freak is holding some kind of paper talisman while flashing a wicked smile. That hallucination leaves him stunned with his eyes wide open. Rubbing his eyes, he tries to process what the heck he just saw. Confused, he wonders if he actually saw that while Shuichi just watches him. But the manager just smoothly says he doesn't even need to answer the question. Shuichi keeps talking, explaining that hunters usually stick to the underworld, and it's pretty rare for them to pop up here. Praising his cracked skills from earlier, the manager admits he's got that undeniable hunter aura. The guy claims he doesn't want to start beef with the Assassin Guild and offers to help, saying he does his best to handle their requests. Pitching a deal, Shuichi says as long as the MC doesn't mess with their business, he can have whatever he wants, keeping the peace in the city. Our boy takes a sip of tea and says he'll name his price, prompting Shuichi to tell him to go ahead. Flashing a furious glare, he demands his master's head. Shuichi's face completely drops, shifting to this serious, dark expression. Reminding him of his promise, the MC demands he hand over Hayakum so they can call it even. With a slight smirk, the manager just mutters, "In that case." And suddenly he pulls out a gun, screaming for him to die right there, calling him arrogant trash. Obviously, our boy is way faster, dodging the shot and letting the bullet just graze his neck. In one smooth motion, he draws his sword, and with a single strike, he chops the manager's arm clean off, gun and all. Shuichi screams in pure agony with blood going everywhere, yelling, "My arm!" He immediately throws himself behind the couch for cover, completely losing his mind. The manager screams at his goons to take him out right the second. Hearing the order, the goons bust down the door and rush the room to attack. The squad of assassins charges in with katanas and pistols ready to jump him. But our boy doesn't even flinch, taking his stance and readying his blade to counter. In one single lightning-fast move, he slashes through all the goons at once. Shuichi watches the whole thing in shock with bodies dropped everywhere, thinking this is impossible. Our MC then slowly walks up to the manager, who's completely terrified. Raising his sword for the finishing blow, the blade gets stopped by a blue energy shield protecting Shuichi. The blade stops inches from the manager's face, who lets out a mocking smirk while our boy senses some weird energy. Confused, he wonders what the heck is going on. Feeling his sword vibrate from the power, he then figures out Shuichi is being protected by some kind of invisible wall. Completely lost, he looks up and just lets out a hone. That monster from the vision earlier shows up right there, and the MC wonders if it's a barrier. A voice echoes from the creature, commenting on how much damage such a young kid has caused. The monk monster glares at him with glowing eyes and says he's going straight to the underworld. Not backing down, our boy points his sword at the creature and yells, accusing it of snatching his daughter. The monster then brings its hands together like it's praying and starts slamming its staff on the ground. Purple magic wraps around the creature, and glowing symbols pop up in front of it while casting a spell. A stream of weird black symbols flows right out of its mouth into the air, showing it's chanting a powerful hex. The shockwave released by the spell completely cracks the floor under the monk monster. Our boy goes on high alert, totally sensing this new threat. He tries to brace himself against those heavy vibrations. Meanwhile, the fallen goons start screaming in pain, leaking from their eyes and mouths because of the spell. The sheer force of the magic is so heavy our MC gets pushed back, sliding across the floor. Gritting his teeth with his face getting bruised up, he endures the crushing pressure of the magic. With his arm veins popping, he grips his sword hilt tight, getting ready to strike back. Letting out a furious yell, he raises his blade high, ready to deliver a full power swing. He then swings the sword down hard, unleashing a massive energy slash that flies straight at the freak. The creature looks absolutely surprised by how OP the incoming attack is. The strike lands a clean hit right on the monster. The slash is so clean and fast the creature's body doesn't even split, just completely turning to dust right after. Our boy looks up, watching the purple fragments fade into the air after taking down the monk monster. Wiping the sweat off his face, he stares at the dropped bodies and thinks that barrier is a massive problem. He then notices something on the floor, an inscription reading, "Monk's Quarters." Pissed off, he swings his sword, flicking away the red ink used to write that. He realizes the enemy seems way more OP than he originally thought. Taking advantage of the distraction, Shuichi makes a run for it, but our boy is sharp and spots him. The manager bolts across the office at top speed, sprinting straight for an open window. Jumping onto the ledge, he figures his only way out is taking the leap, but he suddenly feels someone right behind him. And just like that, everything changed. Our MC pops up from behind and grabs his collar, sending Shuichi into full panic mode. Right after, he yanks him hard and tosses him straight back into the room. The manager crashes hard onto the floor, and the MC steps on his chest to pin him down. Pointing his sword, he warns that he knows exactly what they're up to and demands Hayakum's location. Even while clowned, Shuichi grabs his leg with a defiant look, completely refusing to spill. Our boy gets the message and switches the question, saying he'll let him go if he hands over the ledger. The scene shifts to a massive factory on the edge of town, right in the dead of night. In a nearby alley, a voice confirms over the radio that the area is clear. One of the guards patrols the zone with a flashlight while another walks in the background. Catching a noise, the guard turns around, feeling suspicious, trying to spot what it is. Shining his light into the dark, he gets spooked seeing someone dropped on the ground. Freaking out, the watchman yells, asking if he's okay, while our MC is already standing right behind him. And with a quick strike to the neck, he knocks the guard out cold on the spot. With the guards dealt with, he finally steps up to the factory building. In a flashback, Shuichi mocks him, revealing the ledgers are at the suburban factory and daring him to take them. Back in the present, our boy opens a door and carefully sneaks inside. Taking a peek, he spots the place is packed with goons chilling everywhere. The thugs are just slacking off, smoking and chatting, having zero clue what's about to go down. Suddenly, our MC storms the hall but bumps right into one of the lackeys. The rest of the crew gets shocked and starts yelling, demanding to know who the heck he is. Giving zero answers, he raises his sword. Flashing a furious glare, he draws his blade. In one single strike, the MC chops the enemy's arm right off. But he doesn't stop there, already locking in for his next move. He then lands a clean hit to the back of the neck, knocking the guy out cold. Suddenly, a massive crowd forms right behind him. A whole mob of thugs armed with bats and swords charges straight at him. Even more goons rush down the stairs, screaming orders to end him on the spot. Seeing this huge mob coming his way, our boy looks surprised and wonders what's going on. Not backing down, he screams he's gonna crush every single one of them and rushes the group. Dropping the first few goons, he spins around to face two more creeping up from behind. With a dead-focused look, he charges the new enemies with zero hesitation. And with a single swing, he slashes both opponents at the exact same time. But the mob just doesn't stop, and another squad of thugs sprints right at him, dodging and blocking every single attack flying his way. Fully locked into the brawl, he preps his next strike against the trio. And with one spinning move, he takes down all three goons at once. The survivors freak out, and one of them accidentally catches his buddy's remains without realizing it. Realizing what he's holding, he drops it fast and screams at the others to run away right now. But another group shows up, and one yells not to chicken out, saying if they gang up, they can win. And no one saw that coming. Before he even finishes, our boy throws his sword and pierces him straight through. The rest of the squad freezes instantly, completely show-shocked seeing that brutal hit. Even so, more enemies keep swarming down the stairs, screaming orders to take him out. Our MC gets ready, and with an almost invisible dash, he charges into the new wave of goons. Blowing right past all of them, the guys can't even process what just happened. Getting confused, one of them complains it was just a false alarm, but the very next second all three of them drop, barely having any time to react. With the aftermath looking super messy, our boy walks away, sword in hand, totally victorious. After wiping out the area, he calmly walks toward a door at the end of the hall. Inside the room, two bald guys are standing guard, one with a sword and the other with a pistol. Hearing a weird noise, the armed thug turns around confused, having no clue what's going down. But the very next second, the wall just gets sliced wide open. The other goon panics and lets out a scream of terror seeing his partner fall to pieces. Casually, our boy just opens the door. Flashing a deadly glare, he warns that if the guy wants to live, he better hand over the ledger right now. Absolutely terrified, the lackey nods and desperately scrambles over to a desk. He then pops open a secret drawer on the side of the desk. With his hands shaking like crazy, he hands the ledger right over to our boy. Opening the notebook, he spots several disturbing photos of monster organs and body parts. Flipping through the pages fast, he hunts for some specific intel inside that bizarre file. Suddenly, he finds a page with a picture of an eye and a note saying next delivery, blood eye. Thinking he's distracted, the bald guy takes his shot and pulls out a knife with a wicked smirk. And this is where it gets good. The thug screams for our boy to die and goes for a sneak attack from behind. Without even looking back, our MC just spins his blade and slices the enemy down in a flash. Flashing a dark look, he mutters the words, blood eye. Furious, he grips the notebook tight and realizes this whole thing is all about Mitsuru. The scene then cuts back outside, showing him stepping right on the guard he knocked out earlier. Ledger in hand, he leaves the factory ready to keep up the hunt. But from up on a rooftop, some monstrous figure is tracking his every move from the shadows. Watching with a creepy smile, that monk monster mentions the cycle of karma is already set. Confused by the noise, our boy spins around to check, but spots nobody there. He just keeps looking around, trying to figure out where that sinister voice came from. Finding nothing, he stays on high alert, feeling super suspicious about the whole thing. Right after that, the scene jumps from the dark factory to a sunny campus with a basketball court out front. A huge crowd of girls is waiting down the hallway while a teacher tells them to hold tight for a health exam. Mitsuru pops up in the shot and lets out this massive yawn. Leaning against her friend, the classmate asks if she didn't sleep well, while a super sleepy Mitsuru just wonders if it's their turn yet. Our girl just answers that she's been feeling tired all the time lately. Right then, a nurse calls out for the next student in line, Miss Mitsuru Akai.